northern Kenya. Drought is looming in northern Kenya. He did not address himself to drought. He talked of a lot of economic progress, investor confidence, Kenya being ranked as the 6th economy in Africa, fiscal discipline. But the real concerns for Kenyans today is liquidity. Do people have money in their pockets? And that is the thing Kenyans want to know. Yes, flour has come down, the price is okay, but do we really have money? Is there any liquidity? For us in northern Kenya, the issue of meat and leather are not factual. We are not benefiting from the bigger economy. It's like the president has absolutely ignored northern Kenya, and we are not part of the economy. So ours is a protest that we don't believe in whatever is being said. He is deliberately ignoring northern Kenya. He's talking of agriculture, dryland farming has not been seriously being captured. Water and irrigation is something that is just said. There is nothing actionable. So ours, as MPs from northern Kenya, ours is to protest that we are ignored, abandoned, marginalized continuously, and we are not happy with the address of the president in entirety. Thank you.
I just want to concur with my friend. The speech covered most of what the president has achieved, but northern Kenya was really missing out from the achievements the president has mentioned. He has mentioned several roads, dual of several roads and major infrastructures in terms of roads. None was from northern Kenya. He has mentioned several dams. None was from northern Kenya. He has talked of agriculture in terms of coffee, sugarcane, all other sectors of agriculture. But when he came to livestock, there was nothing substantial on livestock. Actually, the figures he gave are not figures we really feel they're true. He talked of 2.5 million. We left while he was speaking in protest because we feel we have been left out in the presidential speech and the government achievement. So we are telling the president, go back to the drawing board. Northern Kenya are really missing out from this cake we are talking of, and we are really in dire need of consideration by the Kenyan government. That's my take.
Thank you very much. Let me also join in saying that the State of the Nation address today was just what used to be before, just the sessional paper number 10 of 1965. Northern Kenya has been ignored, was ignored for the last 60 years. He talked about dueling of roads. We don't even have roads ourselves.
But it's just the other day when President Ruto spoke of the roads and
there was one road. There is only one road which is being worked on from Modogash, from
segments
segments. Yes. And that road has been there for, every president talked about it for 60 years. If you come and visit where I come from, Wajir, there is no road. It is something in a plan. And in any case, even if it was done, we are talking about dueling in these other parts of the world, as we are talking about giving us one road, as if it is like tunasaidiwa one road, chukueni this road and get lost. That is not what we feel. We feel that if we are part of Kenya, we should partake in the national cake. If we are not, then we should be separated from it. Thank you.
Look, I would like to join my colleagues in pointing out the huge gaps in the president's speech. Northern Kenya was largely absent from the president's speech. We don't have roads. We have cattle trucks that we're using and that get cut off whenever it rains. For example, in my constituency, the section between Modogashe and Samatar in my constituency, up until now, we have absolutely no information when it's going to start. And that is the most critical part of the road that links the three counties that make up Northeastern, because the Lorian swamp passes through there, and that is the part that gets clogged every time it rains. And another observation I would like to make in the president's speech is, I mean, it's good to dream, and some of the models the president was talking about have worked elsewhere, and it's fantastic that the president has a vision to take Kenya to a first world status. But again, he forgot about the elephant in the room, which is corruption. How would you be able to achieve all those fantastic ideas, all those amazing, and I really applaud the president for having, when you do not have a proper anti-corruption system in this country? And I believe that is going to be the single biggest obstacle to the president's dream and vision?
One thing I forgot. The president has emphasized on small crops, cashew nuts, coffee, sugar, whose contribution to GDP is minimal comparatively to livestock. While he did not say anything meaningful on livestock sector. And we are talking of 70% of Kenya's landmass, the only livelihood. Right now, nothing is being said about it. Livestock is abandoned, and it contributes over 12% to the GDP, comparatively to coffee, which only contributes even less than 1%. When shall we be part of this country? If Kenya feels that we are an appendage to the other part of the country, if we are a liability, yet we are taxpayers, then the only option is allow us to secede, and we can stay away with our problems. Otherwise, this is not the Kenya we envisaged. We wanted a unitary, considerate, accommodative Kenya. And under President Ruto, he had the vision for the livestock sector in northern Kenya. Where are all this? We are in the 4th year.
Are you saying that President William Ruto is good only when he's doing something for the northeastern region?
I'm not saying so. Northeastern, where is equity? Where is equality? These are things in our constitution. Are we not Kenyans? Why are we mistreated continuously? We had the best hope in the 5th president, but it's gone, slipping away.
We had even members singing two-term in that chamber. How do you take of that? Because they seemed satisfied with whatever President William Ruto said today.
Yes, it is true, because it touches them. They are talking of dueling of roads when I don't have a road. Right. I don't have water for domestic use and livestock. They are talking of two-term. For me, I've elected him. I'm a UDA member of parliament. This time it must be qualified and justified. I will not just elect. I must elect for a purpose and reason.
All right, let's hear Vice Chairperson, Security Committee.
Thank you very much. I think as a long-serving legislator, I want to thank the President for his State of the Nation address. In particular, I'm concerned about 2 areas. The first is the issue of education, and secondly is about the expansion of food production in Kenya. Indeed, the President said that 85% of Kenya is arable, but since there is not enough water, then we cannot produce food. And unless Kenya has enough food, then a lot of things we talk about, development, education, energy, and all that, is just going to be a phantom. And for that reason, what we want the President to do going forward is to put resources in the ASAL. My colleagues who are talking about livestock. Indeed, if you are going to develop ASAL, then livestock is part and parcel of the livelihood in the ASAL areas. The President talked about dams in Isiolo and in Mandera. Indeed, that is something positive going forward. The other issue is about education. Education is the greatest equalizer, and we must agree to that. But what we must also do moving forward, a lot of technical schools, teacher training schools, universities are concentrated within a few regions. This must expand if we say that we must expand opportunities. But I think going forward, the reason why countries like Singapore, Malaysia are examples is because they invested in the right things at the right time. And if the President before this one didn't focus on that, this President comes at a time when the world is a global village. He has more advantages than Kenyatta's Moise. So he must do the right things.
Thank you, Mheshimiwa. Of course, those are leaders, different leaders reacting on what President William Ruto said today, and I would like to hear from other leaders on what exactly they think about President William Ruto's speech today. Remember, they are protesting on the 5 trillion infrastructure, which President William Ruto has promised today, but they say the region has been segregated. Senator Mutinda, you've listened to President William Ruto today, and he's dwelt so much on infrastructure. infrastructure, but there are leaders who feel they've been left out. Also, the question of corruption, many of the leaders feel that he's not addressed that.
Thank you so much. As far as the issue of the infrastructure fund has been addressed, President has just mentioned among just a few of some of the projects that the government looks forward to be able to implement and to be able to kickstart. And they are specified next year. It doesn't mean that those regions that have not been mentioned today in the presidential address have not been factored. It was just among the few at this particular moment. The issue of corruption, Liz, from where we are today, you've seen how the Ministry of Health dealt with the issues of fraud cases of NHIF, SHA, the ones who were dealing with that. The Ministry of Health also came about with the guys who are having ghost schools and ghost students. So these issues were curbing corruption matters. The president did not really need to repeat on this kind of. He has concentrated on development moving forward and highly starting in the year 2026. Yes.
I know infrastructure is something which is talked much about, but also there is the question of dams. Are they distributed across the country?
Definitely. And you've seen how the president has really emphasized on the subject matter of agriculture. It's the lifeline of any economy in any country. He has exampled us with South Korea, Singapore, and they've really put the issue of agriculture ahead, and that's why he has emphasized on the infrastructure of dams, apart from the issue of roads, apart from the issue of our airports, among other infrastructures, but dams is a sector that the president has really focused on so as to enhance our agriculture sector.
Thank you so much, Mheshimiwa, for finding time to speak to me. Allow me to hear from other leaders who have had President William Ruto today. I know there is much which has been emphasized on, especially on matters extension of SGR 5 trillion infrastructure fund, which he says also proceeds of crime, is something which also will be used in infrastructure. But also my colleague Chazima is on the other side, and we will be speaking with other leaders. But allow me also to roam here to hear from different leaders who are here. Hi, Mheshimiwa, how are you? Today, President William Ruto has addressed the nation. What is your takeaway home from this?
Well, my takeaway is that he means well, he has talked well, he has very many issues he wants to address, and particularly picked the issue of infrastructure. I like that because he actually went on the amount of money that he's going to raise, 5 trillion, and these two funds that are being created. Let me say the statement is good. Now, what we are actually going to wait for, what is the action line? He also talked about financing healthcare, which is SHA. Again, the president means well, but there are challenges. You see, the president makes summary statements and the good intentions, but the challenges that are in are what we need to address. But he didn't say anything about our international obligations and the state of security. I think I also noted that those two areas were not tacked.
Many Kenyans also were expectant, Mheshimiwa, that President William Ruto is going to address much on corruption. Has this been? Again,
you are actually, I was waiting. That's a third thing I didn't hear. The issue of corruption. If you don't deal with corruption in this country, nothing is going to change. Yeah. So again, he missed out. He missed out on our international obligations. He missed out on the security, and he missed out on corruption issues. I think that's all I can say. But the others that he put, they are good plans. The issue is, how are we going to implement them? That is my take.
Thank you so much, Mheshimiwa. Allow also myself to hear from Mheshimiwa Mutunga. How are you, Mheshimiwa? I know I have seen your colleagues. Some of them are so rattled on what President William Ruto has said today.
It is unfortunate to look at things the way some of my colleagues have done. When you have water for irrigation, it doesn't mean you are going to irrigate only crop. And of course, fonda is a crop. You can irrigate grass, you can irrigate maize, you can irrigate trees, fodder trees. So what we need in this country is water for irrigation. the president did not single out irrigation for only human consumable crops. He said there will be investment in 50 mega dams across the country and 200 other smaller dams. That means we are going to create water for irrigation, block some of our waterways so that we can have downstream irrigation by gravity, and also harness the surface runoff so that we'll be able to transform this country into a green country. It is possible.
The grievous matter of corruption is something also Kenyans really wanted to hear what he has today to say today, because remember the other day he pointed fingers to Parliament and especially the two houses, and majority of Kenyans are wondering, then how are you going to develop and make Kenya a first world country when you cannot fight corruption?
Kenya is developing right now. Kenya has been developing over time. We have seen first-hand growth of this country over time, and in the recent past especially. Because you look at the record right now, the improvement in the GDP, the improvement that Kenya has become the 6th largest economy. That means the economy is improving. It was number 8 to number 6. There's an amalgamation of so many issues. So Kenyans like highlighting as an issue and making it the major issue. I don't think corruption is a major issue. There is need for us to look at issues positively. You may not have addressed corruption, but he's addressing corruption through other means. There are very many, there's a multifaceted approach.
Don't you think that ought to have been a priority?
I don't think it ought to be one of the 5 top priorities. Corruption is a social issue, it's not a development issue. It's something that we need to address because people understand what it is, and it needs to be dealt with. In other words, he has actually alluded to corruption when he said optimal utilization of the resources that are budgeted, optimal management of the budget. If we have fundamental responsibility and fundamental discipline, then we are addressing corruption. You don't have to call it corruption.
Thank you so much.
He has talked about it.
Thank you so much, Mheshimiwa Mutunga. Allow me also to hear from Mheshimiwa Ososi, Deputy Party Leader of the ODM Party. How are you, Mheshimiwa?
Very fine.
I know you've listened to President William Ruto today, but some members are so rattled by his address in what they say his promises are so concentrated in some regions, and some regions have been left out. What do you take home of today's address?
First of all, as a leader, a deputy party leader of ODM, I'm very disappointed with the speech, because we in ODM expected that he will address the issues contained in the 10 points agenda, which are very, very valid issues that affect ordinary Kenyans. For example, the issue of abduction, extrajudicial killing, the issues of fight against corruption, issues of historic injustice, issues of reduction of public debt, issues of NADICO. He never touched that. And we expected that this being the first presidential debate speech after the death of Raila Odinga, he would take this opportunity to come and talk to Kenyans about the issues contained in the 10-point agenda that he signed with Raila Odinga. So as a party, we are a bit disappointed on that. Secondly, we expected that this being the first address to joint sittings of the two houses, we expected that he will give a 1-minute silence for Raila Odinga, who was one of the longest serving members of parliament and an important political figure in this country. He never gave that opportunity. He never discussed anything about Raila Odinga, and we thought that presidential speech was full of futuristic issues, ambitions about what he intends to do in future. Unfortunately, he does not have the time, because, you know, we are just about 1.5 years to 2027 elections.
He has given a very elaborate and very ambitious plan when it comes to infrastructure, actually a 5 trillion infrastructure plan, and he says by December he would have started some of the projects, key projects, including Mahou Summit Road. But even as you say, as he says this, some of the leaders have doubts on this, and they say it might not be achievable.
That's why I said it's futuristic. It's not about tomorrow or 6 months to come or 1 year to come or even 2 years to come. It's things that he has ambition to do in future. And you know that for those ambitions to be achieved, he needs to put money to it. Where is the budget? There's no budget to it. So is it another way of indirectly telling Kenyans that he's going to trust them more? So we would like the president to tell us more about things of today, things of the next 6 months, things of 1 year, and not things that will happen 10, 20 years from now.
You are here lamenting, frustrated about the 10-point agenda. As the ODM deputy party leader, what is it then you're going to do? Are we likely to see you guys walk out of this agreement?
No. You see, the point is that we have a time frame. The 10-point agenda, the gazetted time frame, is March 2026. And therefore, in March 2026, which is 4 months from now, we'll sit down as a party, look at what has been done and what has not been done, and on the basis of that, we'll make a decision. We know that there is a committee led by former Senator Agnes Zani, which up to date is not properly facilitated to start their work. So my expectation as a deputy party leader was the president to talk about the issues, the 10 issues in the 10 points agenda, which are very critical to the people of Kenya, and which ODM is very active in pursuing them, because they are contained in that document that he and Raila Odinga signed.
Right, thank you so much. I know you say you are frustrated. Let me hear also from Mheshimiwa Nguna, who lately he says, I don't know whether he supports President William Ruto or rather what he thinks of where we are. You've had President William Ruto, and I have seen majority of you in that chamber chanting 2 terms, and among other, you seemed somehow satisfied. However, there are members who have walked out in protest, and they say the address by President William Ruto did not satisfy them.
Let me begin by appreciating the fact that the president has showed up to fulfill what we call a constitutional mandate. That is the most important thing, because it's required by the constitution to give the status of the country. Secondly, if what is talked is fully implemented, I think we are heading to the right direction. But the challenge here is, are we going to implement what has already been talked about? That is the most important thing. Otherwise, I am happy we have got infrastructure bill, and of course we find that is going to scale up the construction of several roads across our country. But we have a challenge we have to address, putting the money into the pockets of Kenyans to fill the economic growth the president has talked about, to feel about improving from 8th position to 6th position in our continent. So I think now that is the challenge. Kenyans have to build the economy. If it is growing, at what percentage, and is it being felt at on their pockets? So that is the most important thing.
One key thing which Kenyans were expectant to hear President William Ruto address is corruption. I remember someday he pointed his fingers to this house on matters corruption. Is it something he's left out deliberately?
We've not heard of the issue being addressed, and I think we've been debating this report on the floor of the House, and those are some of the key issues we are going to highlight. We need to see the commitment of the government in fighting the corruption, so that we can ensure each and every shilling contributed by Kenyans it's well accounted for. So on issues of corruption, I think he has not addressed the issues adequately.
Thank you so much, Mheshimiwa, for allowing me to hear from you. Hi, Mheshimiwa Odipo Kome, how are you? You can move a bit closer, You've had President William Ruto address today. What do you take of his address first?
I'm very happy. He addressed 4 major issues, things which are very important to Kenyans. I was wondering at one time whether what he's saying are really implementable, because we are a poor country. We don't have that kind of money that could take care of what he was talking about. But in the end, when he was about to close, he mentioned the source of funding. And that's very important. If you are planning, you can plan on what you want to do, after which you must clothe it with how I'm going to fund it. He said it. His approach is PPP. Beautiful. That's the only better way. If he went to taxation, I think the whole country would have just exploded because people are overtaxed. He avoided taxation. He went straight away to PPP, which means the world would help us. Private bodies and whatnot, and individuals who want to invest can be part of us in what he was doing.
Thank you so much, Mheshimiwa, for allowing us to hear from you. Hi, Mheshimiwa. How are you? I know you've listened to President William today. What do you take of his address?
First and foremost, I want to say the speech was very visionary, and is the speech and the state of the nation that is actually going to address the pertinent issues of this country. It's a speech that demonstrates courage. It's a speech that demonstrates knowledge, skill, and vision. Where do we want to take this country? Very few leaders would actually address the issues he has addressed. He has boldly come out with very clear steps on how this country can be transformed. And let me tell you that such a kind of speech, especially on the issue of not relying on rain-fed agriculture, that we are not importing, that we are importing food. Almost everything on our table today is being imported. No Kenyan leader is actually ready to express themselves on that. That we are importing sugar, that we are importing almost everything. That the president came out and said we should stop that. We are losing 500 billion shillings every year on importations of food. Two, he went on to boldly talk about improvement of the airports, the infrastructure, and the development of this country. Through PPP, and the development of our own mortgage system, and our own savings. Many countries in the world have developed out of savings. And I want to tell you that even nations as lesser economies than our region, Uganda and Tanzania, have more savings than this country.
You know, many Kenyans listen to President William Ruto and are wondering how tenable is the promises of President William Ruto, especially in infrastructure, a 5 trillion program.
Not promises. Let me just say this, and that's the mistake the media is talking about. It is not promises. He is giving us a very clear vision that we can attain as a country this much in 10 years. That many Kenyans have always tended to talk about promises. It's not the truth. He is giving us a very clear vision. He is seeing how this country can be in 10 years. What the Southeast Asian Tigers, and I'm a student of history and even developmental studies, did in a record short time is possible. And I want to tell you this, I've done it. I've seen in other countries have done it. China, you've seen from 1978, when their leader told the people, we want to transform this country from agricultural country to a first world country. 1978 when Jomo died, China was just a third world poor country where people were dying of hunger. Right now, it is a world leader.
Many Kenyans today, Mheshimiwa, also are questioning matters corruption. They were waiting in the program, or rather in the vision President William Ruto he has today. The question of corruption also becomes a hindering block.
Let me tell you, this government has addressed corruption severally and in a very clear way. One, you remember the issue of the EGP. The president himself has said, let us do everything on a portal to show who is the highest bidder, who is the lowest bidder, and who has bidded for what, and who has given what. Many Kenyans, and even the civil in the government, are also resisting on that. Here they are saying, fight corruption. The president has come in with a very clear way of doing it. Two, he has also empowered the EACC and the team that are doing it. He even came up and said, out of that particular program, he's going to lay out on the internet and the superhighway. It will enable Kenyans to do most of their things online, and you'll see things openly and transparent. What else do you want if that is not fighting corruption? I want to say that Jomo Kenyatta International Airport was built by Mzee Jomo Kenyatta in 1973. The state at which Jomo Kenyatta is today, almost 50 years, when Jomo built it in 1973, it was a top airport in the world then. It is still serving us. It is a shame for this country to still rely on a top airport which was built in the 1960s and in the year 2020, almost 60 years down the line, nobody is doing anything. We need to embrace what the president said and develop this country and move forward. Thank you
so much, Mheshimiwa, for allowing me to hear from you. Of course, that has been Mheshimiwa Meli, who says that President William Ruto has promised what he can deliver, and that is his vision come 10 years, but not promises per se. Remember, what he's dwelt much on, it's more on infrastructure, expansion of different roads, and more so infrastructure fund, and also SHA. He's dwelt on that, and he says that by December this year we're likely to have expansion of the SHA program, especially to the cancer patients, from 500,000 to at least 800,000, among other many promises which is given today. But remember also, other leaders are not satisfied with what President William Ruto has said, especially the promises which they say are not even touching their regions. We've been here since morning, myself and Chazima, but now we take it back to you. Thank you for watching TV 47. I'm Elizabeth Motuko.